Hello, my name is Starlight. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and I'm reaching out to all of you beautiful souls out there. I hope you're able to get out in nature like Starlight is, and don't mind the background. What matters right now is I'm in the right lighting, so before this will change really quick here. So anyway, I love you so much. I hope you're getting out in nature. Make sure, what's your excuse? The weekend's here, tomorrow. Come on, get out, do something. Get out in nature somewhere. Go swimming, go boating, go take a hike, get out and do whatever you love. Starlight doesn't eat fish, but if you're gonna go fishing and get out in nature, you know, that's what you need, is getting out in nature. That is what you need. So anyway, I love you. If you are new to my YouTube channel, welcome, and you can find me on YouTube, and that is at Starlight, and that is Kathy with a K. You can also Dingman. You can also give my videos a thumbs up, and you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. Plus, don't be afraid, don't be shy. Swing by and say hi, Starlight, by leaving me a comment down below. Beep, beep, beep. And you can also share my videos with your family, your friends, and ow? Who? An owl. Who? An owl. Oh, an owl. Yes, an owl. Or a bobcat. Yes. Starlight never met one of them in person, so one of these days. And not only you can share my videos with an owl or a bobcat, you can also check out my playlist and find me on Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that is Kathy with a K Dingman Starlight. So anyway, thank you. Whoopsie, Starlight just got freshened up. So thank you so much for all of you who have been here. There's one person that I know has been here before I even started my YouTube channel, when I started putting videos on Facebook. That's how I started. I'll just put them out on Facebook for now. And then eventually Starlight started her YouTube channel. So anyway, thank you for still being here and loving and supporting Starlight, and all of you that have been here ever since, the beginning or in the middle, or maybe you just joined my YouTube channel. And thank you, all of you who have given Starlight a thumbs up, subscribed, or even left me a comment down below. And it's amazing. I thank you all. It's amazing. The other day, when I was getting my car fixed, or actually heading to get my car fixed, a man walked on the sidewalk past me and said, this is so funny, said, "Hello, Kathy with a K Dingman." And I'm like, who's that? So, Starlight is getting around, a total stranger. I don't even know. I never even got to talk to them. They just went by and they already were watching my videos. They got my, they must have seen my stickers on my car. So I thought that was wonderful how, bam, that somebody, of all the people that were out there, and for me to be in that certain location, that was amazing. So thank you. And I met some people today, telling them about my YouTube channel. So if you are here, thank you for, stopping by and giving me a visit. I had some great conversations earlier today with a lady and a man at a park. So it was awesome meeting with them. And it's one of those things you wish you had more time to talk, but they had to get going. And Starlight also was in the middle of stuff. So anyway, I love you all, and I am so grateful for all of you. And this is where you should feel at home. And this is where, if you don't have a family, you can come and join Starlight's YouTube channel and be a part of this family, because that's what it's about, is to be kind to everyone. And so anyway, today's video is it's okay that things don't work out right. It's okay to have failures. It's okay when, you went and did something and it backfired. How many of you have had days like that. Wow, everybody's hands are up. Wow, you're like, Starlight, I can't believe I'm even checking this video out, because it's like, like you saw the thumbnail, and you're like, why am I even checking this out? It's okay to have failures, or I'm not sure what I'm going to label this title. The title on this video is, it's okay to fall. It's okay that things didn't work out right. It could be the job, it could be a relationship, it could be anything. It could be, maybe you went and tried something and it didn't work out. You found out that that wasn't for you. Maybe you went out and, you did something without anybody knowing. And you're like, you know what? I'm just going to do this secretly. Nobody, it's not a bad thing, but you didn't tell anybody, and you went and did something, and you found out, you know what? That wasn't for me. Or, there's so many things that we can, where it's about finding who you are. That's failing, and all this is when you're gonna really, that's when you're gonna learn, is when we fail. It's not when everything's going great and stuff like that. And we all like to have that time there, is to feel great, and then how long does that last? Be grateful how long that lasts. But that's how life is a spiral like that is, you're gonna be up sometimes, and then you're gonna go back down. But this is down. When you're going down, that's when things are going rough and tough and all that, that's when we actually learn things, and that's when we actually get stronger. Because just like inventors out there, it took them several times, like even the light bulb, that failure after failure before that light bulb was actually invented. So just like your life and whatever you're working on, Starlight used to do lots of arts and crafts. So there's times I had an ideal, and I was like, I had a vision in my head, because Starlight in those days was smoking marijuana, and, wow. Anytime I smoked marijuana, my creativity was pouring out of me. I was like, wow, I can make this. And, anytime that I made one thing, I'm like, then I was like, oh my, I can actually do something. It just was endless of how many things you can invent or create as artwork, or even music, sounds, songs and stuff like that. So, and that it's great when we finally get it, So Starlight had to do arts and crafts, and there's times, I was making these beautiful decoration cubes, and, there's times I had to throw them away, because I'm like, that did not work out the way I thought, by creating this thing. I had to have the right kind of cubes, I had to have the right kind of glue, and all this stuff, and sometimes the glue actually melted right into the, because it was a different foam cube. So all this stuff I was learning as I was going. And just like in life, just like when little kids, when they start out, it's awesome to watch little babies, is to watch them, how they struggle. Don't you ever feel like a baby sometimes? Like, the way watching a little baby, go from, first being held by his mommy all the time, and or dad's actually around. Wow. Starlight does not know what that's like. I brought my kids up without a daddy, and so it is awesome when the baby starts lifting its head up, and its neck is getting strong, and it's looking around, and before you know it, the child's learning how to sit and then crawl. Sometimes they learn things a little backwards. It's kind of weird. There's kids that learn in so many different ways. But how many times do you think they fell before they really learned how to finally get it, And then they're walking, and then before you know it, now they're running, So, and then there's times, of course, when it comes to the crawling, to learning how to walk, and then to run, and then they're going to fall again, right? Well, we're not too much difference than the babies. Of course, we're just bigger babies than the little babies. So it is okay that even as far as relationships go, is Starlight used to beat herself up, is like, man, and God, I couldn't pick out the one that the universe has for me now, is because I figured, I'll just let God. God knows the perfect one for Starlight. That's just like Adam and Eve, the perfect match, like just perfect, the way God intended it, So with that is that even in past relationships, you might be beating yourself up about, oh, why did I go with her? Like, and thinking about, all the things that happen in that relationship, or girls, like, why did I go with him? Like, what was I thinking? That's why Starlight makes videos about not being in a rush. But you know what? Even if I make videos about not being in a rush, there's people, guess what? And I want you to do this. It says like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force him to drink it. And then I've heard other people say that there's different ways that you can do that, get a horse to drink water. But anyway, is there's people out there too, is that you could be there and help them and make videos or even talk to people. They got to figure it out on their own. You gave them help, but they got to do the work. If they don't do the work, and then they're like, it's like having a manual. If God gave us a manual, and we're like, you know what, God's like, here's a manual for life, how to live life, and we look at it and we're like, wow, that looks like a lot of work, God. That's a lot of work, God. You expect me, God, you expect me to do all this work? They chuck the manual, and then they're like, I don't need that manual. Or you might even think that I don't even need God, I'll just do this by myself. Good luck. Good luck. I'll tell you, good luck. I know what my life was when I left the church, and when it was, when I got out of occult churches, what kind of a mess Starlight was getting herself into, where it's amazing that I'm here and I'm alive all in one piece, because I was making a lot of poor choices. I really was deprogramming myself. Woo! Starlight went a little too far with that, But you know what? All those things, all those lessons, all those failures, the making not always the right choice of the things that I was doing, I got to learn a lot of stuff because I didn't make the right choices. Just like when you are involved in a relationship, is, were you in a rush? What was the reasoning for you getting in that relationship? These are things, God knows the motives and the hearts of the people. You could fool those people out there, like why you want to get involved in relationships. You could say, I love you, I need you, I want you, and now you're together. But, God knows the motives in your head, why you wanted to get with that person. And this is what trips a lot of people up, is they got with the people for the wrong reasons. They rushed things. Guess what? That's okay. Starlight's been there too. I'm not claiming that I never, made the wrong choice and didn't rush into relationships. Believe me, when I started out, I had no clue. I was 16 years old, starting off on the streets, not having any way of understanding anything. And there's a lot of people, like, if you don't even have good examples at home as far as being couples and what, relationships are, or you didn't get educated on, that's why it's so important for parents not just to be parents in front of their kids, but to teach them how to be a good wife and how to be a great husband, a great wife and a great husband, is because, and you got to be the example for them to follow that. So all those things that we go through by making the wrong choices and failing at it, relationship after relationship, guess what? When we start out, it's painful, and it doesn't matter. Even if you start out and it's very painful, your first time getting your heart broken, it's painful, isn't it? But didn't you learn something from the pain? There's a lot of people, they get mad and angry at God thinking everything just should have been handed to them. But what would you really learn? It would have turned you in an evil way at the end anyway, because you wouldn't have been grateful. You wouldn't have learned what it's like to be really grateful for what you have. It would have been like you would have been like a spoiled, rotten little brat. Simple. Just like if you had a little toddler, and this is how a lot of families do this, is that they do, and even grandparents have a way of actually ruining their grandchildren, is because they could admit that they screwed up with their kids, didn't know what they were doing, and now they're like, hey, now I got grandkids. I wasn't able to spoil my kids, when they were younger, but now I'm going to spoil my grandkids. Now I'm going to do all this stuff with my grandkids that I wasn't able to do with my kids, and now it's a big chaos mess, because now that, now this child is becoming a materialistic kind of child that's going to be growing up, and not, hopefully, you know it just, if you're give, and that's all they're gonna see you as for, because I do know people that are doing that right now, and there's a lot of people that do this, either the parents or the grandparents or both, where it's great to give things to your children, but there is a point of giving too much, giving too many things, because now they expect it, and now they just want it. It's, you got to be careful with that, and those are lessons that you can learn in life, is the things, the do's and don'ts, as far as bringing up kids. So it's okay that there's no perfect family out there, there's no perfect mom or dad or parents out there, there's no perfect lady or man out there, and God didn't make us perfect. It's better that you actually went and went for something, did something, than it is for you to just sit around and absolutely do nothing. Because if you're too afraid to go out with somebody, and I'm not saying to rush into a relationship, but there's some people, they given up on it. They're like, I give up. They don't want to work on themselves either. They just think that everything is just gonna magically appear in front of them. Like, hey, I don't have to do the work. I desire that guy over there, and they see all these great things about that guy, and they might even know, not just about the outward appearance, or what they own or what kind of job, but they might see other qualities in that man, and they're like, oh, I desire all those things, but they're not even working on themselves. Do they really, are they worthy to have that? Have they done the work? So we are going to fail, and that is when you're going to grow, is when you're down, because that's when shit hits the fan. That's when now God's got your attention. God has got your full attention. You're like, shit. Before you were so distracted on other things, but now you got to actually really figure this out, because some things, when we fail at it, if we don't take care of it, it gets worse. Or it could, all kinds of things could get really ugly out there if we don't, stop getting so distracted out there and figure out what are we going to do with this problem. So, and then you're going to learn, like I said, with relationships, what did you learn in those past relationships, especially when you're starting off? The first time, you get cheated on, or especially if you catch it, have you ever caught like a man or a woman, in bed with not you, you're going out with a person, you know, you could catch people doing all kinds of crazy shit, you could even catch somebody with a same-sex kind of person. It's like, what the heck are you doing? Like, so, but you learn lessons, you learn things about people and yourself, what you're gonna accept and what you're not gonna accept. It really breaks it down. Some people are afraid. They're afraid to do so many things. I just met a guy recently, and he's in a really horrible location, and he's like, I wish somebody would help me to get out of this area because I was leaving that area. I'm like, bye, I gotta go. And but you know what? It's a lot of work. But if you start at doing the work, you're already, making it happen. But a lot of people, you know what? They just sit and they look at it. Like Noah, you know, God told him how to build the ark and what to do. Now, Noah could have done what most people would have done and said, screw that. That's a lot of work, God. But, everybody thought he was crazy, but he still kept at it, and he did it. So, so it's best to get at it, and then you know what? If you fail, it's okay because you learned something. You learned something that you didn't know before. Maybe you in life, like different things. I'm trying to think of something of a learning. Oh, like recipes. Just cooking a recipe. You got all the ingredients and all this and that, and now some women and some guys, they don't go by the menu. Now, if it's my first time ever, if I'm going to go buy a recipe book, Starlight wants to do everything exactly. But you know what? If I don't read everything carefully, the measurements, and have my focus on that thing, I could goof the whole recipe up, and there goes the whole entire meal. Even just the temperature in the oven. Whoops! There goes those cookies. My kids loved burnt cookies. They're like, hey mom, we love these burnt cookies. you know so you know what, I was like, what did I learn there? Well, I added something or didn't have enough of some. So it is okay that you're gonna fail because you're gonna learn through those things, and it also challenges you because it's better that you're at least attempting to do something. You're out there doing something instead of just not. You know, there's people, they desire so much in their life. Oh yes, I want the dream world, but they're not doing the work. You could tell them, how did you do it, Starlight? Oh, this is how I did it. They already gave up. They seen, oh, that sounds like a lot of work, Starlight. I don't want to do that. Well, have good luck. What can I say? You got to, there's times we got to go by the manual and go by, if we don't take time to do that, and there's really no manual here how to live out in this world. There's a lot of people out there, but not everybody is the same. But there's things people have learned the hard way to help other people out. But if you don't, like being positive, for instance, if you don't work at being positive and you don't do the work, and then you're wondering, how come I'm always negative about everything? Well, because you're not doing the work. Life is not supposed to be easy. I always thought it was supposed to have been easier, because my life was really, it was rough, and I have to say that even the journey that I'm going on now is not easy. But I'll tell you what I'm doing now is amazing. The things that I'm learning, the wisdom that I'm picking up. Yeah, I have failed. I have, I'm like, God, please forgive me. And it's okay, because God's gonna forgive me. God knows, God knows when you're really giving all your all. Even if you give your all, you can always still, not quite get things done the way you want, or make a mess out of things. And it's absolutely okay, because you learn something of what not to do or what to do the next time around. Just like relationships, or even jobs. You learned a lot through jobs. You go and get a job and you're like, man, that company, they don't want to pay me. They want to have me, they add more stuff to my, when I got hired, they said to do these things, and now they want me to do all this stuff, but I'm getting same pay, and so you do learn a lot from even, all kinds of stuff in life of, things to learn, You know, even taking a hike out in the woods, making sure you're not going to get lost. Starlight, Starlight has gone. I'm really good about in the woods, though. I don't know how. It's like I got my GPS system, my intuition, and so yeah, it is okay to fail. It's all right to fall, just like the babies. So don't. I am sorry. This light here. This is the way this is at this time here. Is don't let that overtake you. Don't give up because things didn't work out. You know, you're still here, right? You know, how old are you or how young are you, right? You still have all the way until, so don't give up. You know, is that you got to understand that we're here to learn, and that is what this is all about, is learning who we are. And each time you can actually get better every time. So don't be so hard on yourself. And I have been like that. I have definitely been like that, being hard on myself. And we all been there. I had to forgive myself. Now I am doing so much better about not being so hard on myself, and, you know, giving myself more credit and saying, you know, nobody could fill your shoes, Starlight. And that is a fact. Nobody could fill my shoes, just like nobody could fill yours. So don't be so hard on yourself. I am so sorry about this. There's nothing I can do here. Is just say, you know what, I am doing better than I think. I am stronger than I think. You know, you are smarter than you even know, is doing what you're doing and going through what you're going through. Don't give up. Don't just say, hey, that didn't work, I'm done. You know, there's people out there, that's all they get, oh, that's, it didn't work. There might be a different way of doing it. You know, there's different angles, there are different ways. You know, you got to just, you know, don't give up. And remember that, you know, you might even be able to Google something. Sometimes you can Google things. Maybe you're, you know, you're not looking at the right angle, or maybe you need to ask God for help and ask for clarity, because that's what I do. If I'm stuck, I ask God for clarity. Please give me clarity. I just did this yesterday. You know, the whole day, that's all I did was work on myself, because I needed clarity. I needed that time alone. Are you willing to actually get alone with yourself so you can talk to God and ask God for help? And when you feel lost, or when you feel like you don't know what you're doing, or, you know, you need some guidance and direction, is take some time out and ask for help. You know, like, what am I here to learn right now? What is it that I'm missing out? What is it, you know? Just ask. Don't be afraid. Don't give up, though. It's good that you're out there and you're trying, you know, not you're trying, you're doing. You're doing it. So don't give up on the things that you're working on, or some things we need to give up on, you know, people or things that are no longer serving us. But, you know, if you're writing a book, don't give up. You know, if you're working like Starlight on a YouTube channel, it doesn't mean when you jump on a YouTube channel, everything is going to go, you know, hey, yeah, I made it. No, I'll tell you what, being a YouTube creator, it takes failure after failure after failure after failure. I'm learning as I'm going. And that's all you got to do. Don't beat yourself up. I used to beat myself up, you know. So thank yourself. Say, hey, you know what? I am doing better than I think. So anyway, I love you so much. So don't be so hard on yourself. Give yourself a break. And remember, you know, when you're failing, you're growing and you're learning and you're getting stronger through the whole process. So I love you so much. This is Starlight. You could give this video a thumbs up. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel. Plus, you could give my videos, you can actually see, talk about failures. That's okay. So don't be afraid, don't be shy. Swing by and say, hi, Starlight, by leaving me a comment down below. Beep, beep, beep. See? That's all it is. It's okay. You just keep going. Also, you could share my videos with your family or friends. A spider. Starlight had a spider today. Would you believe, I gotta tell you this nasty story. You know, some people would have done the opposite, but I went to a bathroom in the park. Are you ready? There was a spider that was in the toilet. The toilet was flushed, okay? The toilet was flushed. it was clear water, you know, it wasn't like doo-doo in there or anything like that, or pee, but there was a spider in the toilet bowl, and it was struggling. Now, how many of you would have flushed the toilet? You would have flushed the toilet with a spider? How many of you would have saved the spider from the toilet bowl? Starlight did. You know, that spider was my friend for a while. Sorry. That spider really loved my coat. It was drying off, you know. It's like, oh. And I could see its little web everywhere on my coat. I had a hard time actually getting it off my coat. It loved my sweater, my jacket so much. But yeah, you could share my videos with a spider. And let me see. I'm gonna say another bug. A ladybug. You could share my videos with a ladybug. So after that, you can also check out my playlist and find me on Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that is Kathy with a K, Dingman Starlight. It's okay. If you've watched my videos for how long, you see how many failures Starlight has, but you know what? I'm still making videos today. Every day, still making a video. So anyway, I love you so much. You can also check out my Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that's Kathy with a K, Dingman Starlight. I love you all. Stop being so hard on yourself and don't give up. I love you so much. This is Starlight. Namaste. This is Starlight. Love, light, and peace. Ooh.